Speak For The Meek, and we're a workshop series that teaches people how to become better communicators. And today, this info session, I promise to get you guys out because some of you guys have to be out by 8. And think of this as shopping period. So if at any time you have to leave for another event, another info session, or just want to leave, it will not offend me at all if you guys just walk right out. So you have my permission. Alright, so these are some things that we want to cover today. So first thing is, what is Speak For The Meek? Why is it that you're here? Secondly, what's in it for you? Third, how does it all work? And fourth, we're going to cover a mini lesson. So in the email I sent out is pretty much learning how to speak up publicly and how to speak up in front of groups. So we'll do a mini lesson of how the workshop will usually work. And if this is something that you're interested in, we'll have mini workshops. But if you find this is totally BS, I have nothing to do with this, then thanks for coming out. We'll have an overview of future topics. You'll get to meet my team, and we have a special opportunity at the very end of the presentation. So first off, what is Speak For The Meek? So in short, we're a community of people who just want to be more socially confident. So we're a community of people who want to be better public speakers, better leaders, want to be able to connect with people. So many of us, when you'll meet their stories, started out as people who were shy, who would consider themselves quiet, and some who are introverted. So by introverted, I don't mean that you're automatically shy. I mean that you just prefer to be by yourself and do activities on your own than to be at parties and such. And Speak For The Meek really started last semester. So I did a research project for one of my classes, and it was about the lack of Asian American leaders in the United States. So if I asked you to name your favorite CEO, you can probably name some, or even past CEOs. But if I asked you to name who is your favorite CEO who's Asian, who actually has a response? Exactly. So this is what I learned. So after interviewing CEOs, human resource officers, and people who pretty much hire, the funny thing is you'll find that no matter where you are, there are certain sectors that are just heavily dominated by certain types of people. For example, engineering is dominated by Asian Americans. About 2/3 of every software engineer is an Asian American. But what's funny is that less than 3% are actually in leadership positions. So I wonder myself, why is that? So I spent the whole semester talking to the people who do the hiring and the bosses. And there were a couple things that I found out. One was that the view on Asian Americans is that we're not very leadership material. We're not assertive, we don't speak up. We're hard workers, we're loyal, we're great people, we're great listeners, but we just don't like to brag about ourselves. So it's as if we're workers, but we're not leaders. And it was later on this summer, I met one of my heroes. Her name is Susan Cain. She wrote the book Quiet, which is about being an introvert in an extroverted world. So Susan started this revolution called the Quiet Revolution. And it talks about not only Asian Americans, but also women and other people who are often marginalized because they don't see themselves as the type of people who will stand up in a crowd, give speeches, and they're not very vocal. But it doesn't mean that they don't have great ideas. It doesn't mean that they can't contribute to society. It doesn't mean that they don't have the potential to do great things. It's just that because we live in a society that values traits about being outgoing, extrovert all the time, that you have to be this A-type personality, go for this, go for that. But the other people oftentimes get marginalized. And that's how Speak For The Meek came to be. We realized that there are people like that, and we are some of them, and we want to create an atmosphere that we can all teach each other how to become better communicators and to appreciate each other. So who benefits? So if any of these apply to you, here's just something you want to consider. So anyone who has ever felt out of place at a social setting, as in you go to a party, you start a conversation, you talk about, hi, my name is Davis, I'm in Berkeley, I'm an econ major. What about you? I'm Taylor, I'm Chris, I am a philosophy major, I'm also in Berkeley. Oh, okay, that's cool. And then the conversation just stops right there. So it's anyone who wants to overcome the fear of rejection. So, has anyone read the blog, John James, 100 Days of Rejection? So,
that sounds horrible.
It is, but here's the thing. So John James, I contact all the time, he was on my list of rejections as well. So a year ago, John James is this entrepreneur, but one thing that he really hated was being rejected. So every time he came to a client, he would get rejected, he would go home, cry, talk to his wife, and then he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he quit his job, and for 100 days, he set up 100 challenges that he would do for himself. But the goal is to get as many rejections as he can, so that by the end of the 100 days, he would be immune to rejection, and he can approach these investors, these clients, and be comfortable with them. So for example, on the first day, he ran up and saw someone random, and just asked, can I have $100? No. Alright. Then he would say, and then the lesson learned was, so what just happened? Nothing, right? Person, a day from now, whoever he asks won't remember who he is, and he learned that, wow, more than anything. So the first day, if you watch the video, he shakes the camera a lot. He pretty much slurs what he says. He says, he's really nervous. But by around day 40, you start to notice a huge change in his personality. He's starting to ask CEOs if he can have eye contact, or for having staring contests with them. He starts asking people, does anyone buy from Zappos, the shoe company? So he asked the CEO if he can ride on the corporate jet. And the CEO said yes. So you got to ride on the corporate jet. He went up to this random guy who was hiring people. He said, can I have a job from you? But only want to work there for one day. He got that as well. So it's through these 100 days of rejection that he learns a couple of things. One, rejection isn't the end of the world. Two, sometimes if you just ask for things, they'll happen. And three, you become a better negotiator the more times you get rejected. So I tried to copy him, and I wrote a list down of 100 people that I wanted to contact by the time I was graduating from Yale, so it's still going on. And a couple of them were your masters, the deans, Peter Salve, and just some of my personal heroes like Susan Cain. And to tell you how amazing it is when you overcome the fear of rejection, this summer I started a company with Susan Cain, and right now we started literally in a Starbucks, and now we have Microsoft and Google as our partners. So you never know what happens, and that's one of the things that we want to teach in this workshop is how to overcome your fear of rejection. Next is if you want to learn how to be more assertive. So at no point do we want you to be someone you're not. So if you're comfortable being who you are, we're not going to teach you got to be someone opposite. But it's just teaching you how to use your strengths to get your point across, get your ideas across. Because sometimes, through my personal experience, sometimes you do get out-grounded by voices who are louder than you, who just speak really fast, and for some reason you just can't get your idea out. Has anyone ever experienced that? You're in a room and then you have a great idea, but then someone just interrupts you, but you don't know how to get back in the conversation. Does that happen? I haven't seen that. And next, you just want to build interpersonal skills. So things like reaching out to people you admire, to be able to form deep connections with people, and just to talk about things past, oh, I have this many piece-ups to do. There's things about finding out about people's hopes, their dreams, their fears, and just building connection with people. And reaching out to potential mentors. So if anything, this is probably one of my favorites because it's really amazing what one person can do for you. Since I've met Susan Cain, I told her that one of my goals is one day to write a book. She immediately introduced me to her editor, who is also Barack Obama's book editor. And now anytime I have a book idea, I just pitch it out. But it's about being able to reach out to people who never meet. So a year ago, if you had told me I would have done all this, I'd be like, nope. But I'll tell you guys that what I've done is not anything unique. It's something that can be replicated, and that's the point of Speak For The Meek, is to help you guys to be able to get to where you want to be the people you want to be, and most importantly, be confident in who you are. And then my favorite, which is to be a better public speaker. So how do I know this works? So in 6th grade, if you can imagine it, I was probably the most quiet and shy person that you could probably meet. I sat at lunchrooms, I would sit by myself, and the bus, I would sit in the front with my backpack in front, just waiting because, I never really fit in. I didn't know how to connect with people, and I had a horrible time. I was really smart, really outgoing, and, well, not outgoing. I was really smart. I knew what I wanted, but I had a terrible time just relating to people. As in, I never get why you have to start off by doing small talk. I was just like, oh, how was your math going? Oh, okay, that's good. And then I was very awkward. If you guys ever watch Big Bang Theory, think that. That was me. So I started reading a couple of self-help books, and one of them was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, one of my favorite books. And I read more books. I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I read these self-help books, and I would just love these materials because these were coming from people who knew my problems, and they offered solutions. And little by little, I started applying what I learned. So one of the things about Dale Carnegie is he's huge on one thing that you can do naturally that will just make you more friendly. And that's simply smiling. So for 30 days, or at first, for one day, I just tried to smile. Just no frowns, just smile. That took me a month to get. But once I got that, I started the next thing, which is to memorize people's names, which was hard for me at the time. So I would try to use people's names as many times as I can while smiling. And slowly it built up, and then my confidence started soaring. So that's how I know it works. But I want you guys to judge for yourself if it works. Today, I want to talk about 6 steps for you to be more confident, and mainly why you guys are here, to speak up in your classes, your sections, your club meetings. So why is it that we're starting with classes and seminars and agendas? Why not just start speaking up here in front of the group? Because I believe in one thing is that if you can do something in a small, controlled environment, you can slowly progress to do it in a bigger environment. The first speech I ever gave up to the public, I froze up. And the teacher had to slowly calm me down, set me down in the seat. I was never the same again. But the next speech I gave was in front of my mom. The next one, my mom and my dad. The next one, my little brother. He was like 2 at the time, so it didn't matter. But the point is that with everything else, with John Jane's example of 100 days of rejection, you should start small. And for many of you guys have probably already passed this stage. But for some people, you might find some useful information. So it's from this learning how to speak up in front of class or small controlled settings that you're able to learn how to speak in unstructured environments, like having a random conversation in a dining hall or at social gatherings, to speaking up in front of large classes, eventually being able to lead your team. So I'm going to make this presentation as useful as you guys can, and if you have any questions, there's times at the end, but if you have an urgent question, just go ahead and ask me. So, what are these 6 steps? So today, essentially, I'm just going to show you how to do one thing, and that's the hookup. But I like acronyms because they teach you how to memorize. So this is what hookup is. So step 1, I'm going to walk through each step, but I want you guys to just have a roadmap of where we're going. So the first thing is have everything ready. Second thing is overcome doubt, openly listen, kind of like contribute, understand the 3-second rule, and then practice. Alright, so the first step is have everything ready. So for you guys who are 64 fans or Mario fans, how this game works is you jump down here and you try to make it to the ramp, but this guy didn't do his plan. He should have jumped over, but now he's stuck, so game over. But you don't have to have a game over in your life. With every meeting, with every class, and with every seminar, this should be an understood rule, but yet I see it broken all the time. You should come in there ready. If it's a meeting, know what's going to be discussed. And when you're in a section or a seminar, actually do the reading, or do enough of the reading, do enough skimming and reading the abstract, so that you actually know what people are talking about. Usually when people come up to me and ask, what's the best way for me to speak up in section? I say, well, do you highlight? Do you do the reading? They'll usually say, yeah, I do the reading. It's like, okay, what amazes you about the reading? What interests you? And they usually say, well, a lot of things. It's like, why don't you say that in section? I forget. So the best thing to do is, if you're extremely nervous about speaking up in class, is do the reading and write down some things that you want to say. Things that interest you, quotes that move you, or just little ideas that you have. Because you'll often find that even though you're doing the reading and you know what you want to say, when you get into class, your mind just goes away. By writing down everything you say, you guarantee that you'll at least have at least one point moving in. So come prepared. If it's a meeting, know what's being discussed. If it's a class, know exactly what it is that will be discussed. Second is to overcome doubt. So has anyone, show of hands, has anyone said these to themselves? I don't have anything to say, I'm not very articulate, I don't want to sound stupid. Has anyone ever had that? And when I first came to Yale, so I came from a public school, and to tell you how scared I was, my public school, our average SAT, that's all 3 scores, was 1,000. So literally, you could go through a class and add a bunch of friends, just sleep through class, and still graduate as an honor grad. That was how bad my system was. And it came to the point where I realized, wow, I got into Yale, I'm pretty lucky, but as soon as that first seminar comes, then I realized that I'm literally just reading Spark Notes, and everyone else is on this higher plane that there's nothing possibly that I can contribute. Then I thought to myself, why? I don't have anything to say. Well, you're at Yale for a reason. And that's because you all have different backgrounds, different interests, different hobbies, and different ways of thinking. So everyone has a personal story, and everyone relates to a different reading differently. So you always have something to say. It's the fact of being ready and being ready to say it. Second, I'm not very articulate. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, actually. Everyone close their eyes? I'm going to do a quick little exercise. Alright, I want you guys to raise your hand if you've ever gone to section and just wanted to learn something. So you come to section expecting someone to say something brilliant. Alright everyone, keep your hands up and look around. So pretty much everyone has their eyes. So everyone pretty much has their hands up. So the reason why I mention this is that when you go to section, when you go to a meeting, at any time, do you ever wonder, man, I'm waiting for that one person to mess up so I can just talk about this for the rest of the year? No one ever does that. Everyone goes to section expecting someone to contribute to education. So I want you guys to think about the last time you were in section or class. And can you remember the last time someone said something utterly stupid or articulate? Most people can't. Because the only person that you remember saying something stupid or articulate is yourself. So in psychology, this is called the spotlight effect. So they did an experiment where a guy would wear a Hitler shirt, and he would go into lecture and then sit down, and they would ask these people who wear the Hitler shirt, how many people do you think noticed your Hitler shirt? And then they put down a percent. So the average about is 63%. So more than half. When the results actually came back, only 13% of people actually remembered that we wore a Hitler shirt. And this is right after the lecture. So this is saying that we put so much pressure on ourselves that we think that we have to say something brilliant all the time. But essentially, if you just say something and you mean it sincerely, people will take it as value. You're at Yale because you want to learn from the people around you. For example, I'm up here. How many of you actually want to come here to tweet that I messed up? No one. So everyone wants to come to hear you speak because they think that you have something to contribute to their education. So never doubt that you will sound stupid, that you're not articulate, and you don't have anything to say. Next is listen and take notes. So one thing I've noticed is that some people who don't like speaking up in class is because they feel as though the class discussion is moving so fast that they can't keep up with it. And one thing I suggest is, and I do this too, is just to take quick notes of what people say. So if I know the person before me said a certain statement and I have something ready, I can write down my 3 points. That way when it's my turn to speak, I can cover the 3 points briefly and I know that I contributed to the section. But at the same time, I've also paid attention to what's going on. Because when you zone out in a seminar or a section, you just totally zone out and you don't know what anyone else is saying, so it's hard for you to contribute. Next is just contribute. So there are many ways that you contribute. One of the easiest ways is when somebody says something interesting, ask a question. Or if someone says something that you don't understand, ask a question. Open a dialogue. And I find this is the easiest way to get my confidence up when I'm in a section. Is just, if someone says something interesting and I don't know what it means, I'm not afraid to ask, even if it's a definition for a word that probably was on the SAT. It gets the conversation started. And I also like to take 2 comments and link them together. So if 2 people said something, it's like, oh, I see a theme between your point and your point, and narrate what that is. And you can do this in multiple ways, paraphrasing it and adding a point to your own. Or the last one, which is disagree. A lot of times I do disagree with what people say, and I simply state what they say, make sure I've heard everything. I say what I like about what they said, what I agree with, and then I say why I disagree. And as long as you do it in a friendly way, non-hostile way, you're not screaming at the person, it opens a dialogue, and this is the best way to get you engaged into an argument. So worst place to do this is the YPU, but the best place to do it is probably your class. Next is obey the 3-second rule. So when I was a freshman, one of my friends recommended this book to me. It's called The Game. Has anyone heard of The Game? The Game, right? So The Game is written by this guy named Yale, and it's essentially about picking up, how to pick up girls, how to hook them, right? But at the time I already had a girlfriend, so I said, what good is this to me? And she said, and my friend said to me, don't read it as if you're trying to pick up people, just read it as a book about learning how to interact with people. And so the game is about a guy named Neil Strauss, who at the time he has no dates, he dresses horribly, and he's never had a date. And he goes through and he finds this guy named Mystery, who is at the time the #1 pickup artist in the world. And somehow he gets connected to Mystery, and Mystery takes him as a tutor. And one of the things that Mystery teaches him, Neil, is known as the 3-second rule. The 3-second rule not only applies to picking up girls, but also applies, I found, to life. If you think too much about something more than 3 seconds, then you're going to start to have excuses for yourself, you're going to start doubting yourself, and you're going to think it's not the right time to say it. But in those 3 seconds, so many things happen. Besides the excuses, the discussion could have moved, you could have missed the point, or you just get so nervous that you don't say anything. So one thing I do with public speaking, with approaching people, with contacting my people that I admire, or anything at all, if I have that instant thought to do it, I go with my gut feeling. Because if I wait more than 3 seconds, I know I'll come up with an excuse. Last night when I was thinking about emailing the whole campus, I was definitely doubting. I was like, oh, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to expose my email to the whole campus? But so I didn't obey the 3-second rule. I decided to go to dinner instead. But afterwards, I was like, oh, screw it. So, and then at the time, I was like, well, whatever happens, happens. But because the 3-second rule, because I obeyed the 3-second rule, you guys are here. The 3-second rule is one of my favorite rules, and it not only applies to speaking up in class, but it applies to meeting new people. It applies to public speaking. It will apply to leading teams. It applies to so many things that you want to do. And if I learn anything, you guys learn anything, obey the 3-second rule. And sixth, and the most important, is the last one, is the practice. So when I first started reading Dale Carnegie, I would read everything word for word, and I would think, that's great. But I wasn't any more confident. I wasn't making any more friends. I still felt alone. It was as if I was reading all these self-help books, but nothing was coming to me. Until I started applying and doing the smiling and doing the remembering the names, one thing at a time. And I started noticing I made mistakes, but I learned from my mistakes. Slowly my confidence grew. And I knew that this was not just for growing your confidence to speak up. But imagine if you're playing basketball. You can read as many books, watch as many YouTube videos about making free throws, but until you actually get to the court and actually throw the ball and get some practice in, you're no better than before you read the book. You know the theory, now it's to apply it. So the steps that I mentioned to you guys is very simple, it's very obvious. But it's until that you apply each of these steps that you really gain the confidence to speak up. And the reason why we started so simple with a easy lesson is because this is how everything else builds up. Everything starts small and you have to build up. And even if today you start, the only thing that you do is you decide to highlight something in your book, or you decide to obey the 3-second rule, start somewhere. Because you can go to presentations like these all day, you can read YouTube, you can watch YouTube videos, you can read articles, you can read your favorite blog, but until you actually apply what you learn, you're still the same way as you are. Alright, so now what? So now we've spoken briefly about how to speak up in class. But from there, you'll learn how to speak up in dynamic settings. So settings that aren't formal, settings that are just happen sporadically. You'll learn how to speak up in large groups, how to publicly speak. What do you do when you don't know what to say? And how do you overcome fear of rejection? So I wish I could cover all this. You just have 1 hour in this room. So that's why my friends and I decided to make Speak For The Meek. Every week, we're going to have, pretty much every week, we're going to have a different workshop, and we're going to work with people to improve their skills. And if you find a particular workshop is interesting to you, we invite you to come. If it's not public speaking, but it's learning how to have conversations with people you've never met, then come to that. But if you're opposite, if you think that your public speaking skills are great, but you don't know how to lead teams, come to that. Anyone have questions? Go for it.
Are we going to get emails about the workshops?
Yes, you will get an email. Is anyone not on the mailing list?
I think I'm not on the
Well, let's see. Did you RSVP at the bottom of the email?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're on the mailing list.
Okay.
Great question.
When will the meetings take place?
So they're gonna most likely take place right here, Tuesday, 7 to 8. Good question. Any more questions, guys? Alright. So future workshops. So this is just an example of future workshops that we have planned. So one is about learning to live a more confident life. So in this workshop, we'll talk about how to pretty much do your own 100 days of rejection. Give you advice of how to start. So quick story how this works is freshman year I came in, I was about 40 pounds overweight, if you can imagine that. So I decided to get a group of friends together, and all we did was every day we would tell each other our goals, and my goal was to lose the 40 pounds. And so I would eat healthier, I would exercise, but I was also kept accountable. So my friend who kept me accountable, I would say, all right, so today I did this and that. And it was a group of us, we kept each other accountable, and we achieved our goals. And pretty much just talking about how to form these networks of people, how to support your goals. Because one thing I found is I've tried to lose the 40 pounds all of high school, it didn't work. It wasn't until I got to Yale and I found some really great people who just pushed me. Because it's really awkward when you make that call to whoever it is and you say, well, I kind of cheated today, but everyone else followed. It's pretty sure reputation. So we're talking all about rejection and how to set goals that get that. And this is my favorite, is how to connect with people. So how to reach out to your favorite celebrity, how to reach out to your favorite writer, how to reach out to yourself, whoever it is that you want to reach out to. And we'll talk about public speaking and how to lead effectively. So you guys will get an email sent out of all the workshops, and every time there is a workshop, we'll make sure you guys know. So this is how Speak For The Meek works. So think of this as being able to make a change in the world. But before you can make a change in the world, you have to make a change in your community, your tribe. But before you can make a change in your community, it all starts with you. So most things, last year I taught another leadership class called Lead by the Leadership Institute. What I really liked was that it taught people how to be better leaders, but what I didn't like was they started from the top and worked all the way to the bottom. When I felt, you know what, the first person you should lead is yourself. Then you'll lead one other person, then you'll lead a community. And then eventually, maybe one day you'll lead the world. And so I can't take credit for everything that's being done tonight, so Kevin, could you guys come up and join me?
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin. I'm with Sophomore Styles. And like many people here, I grew up myself as an introvert. In fact, I only wish that I had the opportunity for this kind of introvert-oriented leadership training earlier in my life. I think a lot of people experience like other leadership training experiences like I did in high school, and they would always assume that everyone is comfortable with leading a group and telling the people what to do, and is always confident making their own decisions, which I think, unfortunately, isn't very realistic. So, when my grades do this, I jump right aboard and start enthusiastic.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Simona. I'm a sophomore in Saybrook. And earlier, last semester, Davis was talking to me about his idea and got really inspired. So I'm really excited to be on the team, and I'm really looking forward to working with you guys in the semester.
Alright, so a special opportunity. So last semester, I was debating between two formats for Speak For The Meek. One is to do straight out workshops every week, but then Simone and Kevin suggested an idea. Sometimes people can go to a workshop, there's many workshops that you want, you'll come out, you'll feel empowered, you'll feel inspired to make all these changes by yourself, but no one really holds you accountable. So we wanted to do something special. We wanted to pick a group of people who are really motivated about changing themselves, being better communicators, and what we want to do is personally work with them. So if today, if the lesson is about being able to speak up with your section, we'll keep you guys accountable. So every week we'll meet, and we'll discuss the progress you made, the progress you're running into. So for example, if the human is how to connect with people, we'll find out who is that person that you want to meet with the most. Is it your favorite writer? Is it a celebrity? Is it an NBA player? Whoever it is. And we'll keep you accountable for that week. If your assignment is to reach out to that person, we'll help you. And in any way that we can, we'll support you all the way. So by the end of the semester, if I asked you to speak up here and do this presentation, you should be able to do so as well. But we can't do that for all 200 people on our mailing list. So what we're going to do is just have a short email application. So I'll send out an application tonight to anyone who's interested. And what you'll do is you'll apply and submit it to this email. Here, I'll include it in the email as well. This is Simona's email. And you'll have about a week to do it. And see the subject, and the finalists will be notified, and there's a lot of people who will do interviews. So the point of this is not to intimidate you from not coming, but it's to find the people who are most dedicated to the program, who really want to improve themselves as leaders, communicators, and just better people, a more confident person overall. So if you're on the mailing list, we'll make sure that you get the application. And then next time, we'll talk about goal setting, and we'll find a date. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming out and being part of our first workshop.